TVC Sport Desk.
Hello, welcome to TVC Sport Desk. I'm Emmanuel Akinubua, and the sanctions keep pouring in for Russia and its ally Belarus as the International Olympic Committee has recommended a ban on athletes and officials from both countries at major international events. That directive was almost immediately adhered to by football's world governing body FIFA and UEFA, who have announced an indefinite suspension of Russian teams and clubs from participating at football tournaments. It's the latest in a growing list of sanctions on Russia, who were the host of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. And of course, our respected sport journalist Michel Obi will join us later on the program to have his thoughts on that issue and how sports can, of course, play a leading role in a possible resolution of the crisis. Well, respected sport journalist Michel Obi is standing by, is joining us on the program via Zoom, and let me bring him up at this point in time to also have his thoughts about how the Eagles should prepare for the game against Ghana. That's the World Cup playoff coming up later this month. Good evening to you, Michel. Thank you for joining us on TVC News. The countdown has begun for the Eagles. What will be your expectation when we face Ghana in some few days from now?
I think it's time for the Eagles to march on as we get into the month of March. But then let me correct something. My name is not Mikel. Mikel is the footballer. My name is Michel Obi. I just want to correct that because so many people confuse me on the way thinking I'm Mikel Obi, the footballer. And they ask me what I'm doing in Nigeria. I said I've been here for quite a while. Anyway, I think Ghana is not a team which we just say we have an edge. There is really no edge. When you make the last 10 in the continent and you go for a playoff, you don't talk about having an edge. You talk about advantage, not edge. And I think we have the advantage of playing the last game at home. And the last game will be in Abuja. A long while we got to Abuja. And Abuja is looking like a winning spot with the girls opening the front for us.
All right, good to have you, Michel Obi. A lot of people will say Michel Obi, but of course, I know you've already cleared that about it. The controversy around the world, it's the sanctions imposed on Russia. FIFA and UEFA have announced suspension of Russian national teams and their clubs to be thrown out of competitions ahead of the World Cup playoffs and, of course, the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League, where we'll be speaking with some sport journalists. And, of course, many of them are optimistic that this sporting sanctions could help in resolving the crisis. Michel, let me quickly come to you about this one. Do you think these sporting sanctions can make the difference in resolving this crisis?
Come to think of it, sports is being used as a veritable instrument of diplomacy at this stage. Indeed, the big noise, even in getting the Russians to pay attention to what the globe or the global audience is saying, is all about sports. And the international sports federations are not looking back. They know that if they don't really get to use sports as a viable vehicle for peace, nobody else will do it. The entertainers are quiet. It's all sports really leading the way, and true to the spirit of sports, it can always find a place. And I think FIFA, initially they were dancing in the sun, not so clear about where they wanted to stay and find their rhythm, but now they've gotten their vibe. And I think if they had played the way they wanted to, the World Cup would have been compromised. Now they've taken a very firm decision, even if they say they are hiding behind the cloak of UEFA, because UEFA was very firm. UEFA never batted an eyelid to say, Russia, what you have done is not good. But then we don't want to get into deeply in the politics. We just want to see how sports has become the bar raiser. The sports has taken the decibel in terms of drawing attention to the crisis in that region to another level. And if anything else, the people are beginning to talk pointedly because sports has come in. We hope it will help to find a resolution. Of course, you want to look at some of the greats, even in sports, getting into war. Or some people, they ask the question, can you combine being a world champion and getting into the trench? That is an issue that perhaps will call for a debate someday. Just like we used to have seen some of our great writers and poets getting involved in the civil war. But then here you have world champions really removing their gloves and picking on guns to fight. Yes, somebody must have something to die for, and perhaps that's the commitment which you give to your endeavor and to your country.
All right, Mitchell, before I let you go, let's talk about the financial impact of the sanctions. UEFA is counting their losses. 40 million euros from Gazprom has been terminated. Schalke 04, a long-time sponsorship from Gazprom, has also been terminated. A lot of deals. Aeroloft for Manchester United, that has also been terminated. What will be the long-term impact of these sanctions on football, and what could be the possible consequences for the future?
First, sacrifices must be made. Given the scenario, you have to really sacrifice. As I say, if you don't bury the seed, you may not find a new plant. So people are making sacrifices. It's not even about some of the money that the sports federations would lose. It's all about the humanity. It's all about those who are involved in the sports. If they are not there, there will be no sports. And so whatever losses they will incur, they can take it in good faith. Of course, UEFA will lose good money, and not only good money, there will be some kind of effect in terms of how the events will be watched in some. Russia is a big market, and if you put Russia out of it, it's going to have an impact. And of course, Russia have friends. But beyond all of that is the fact that this incident is coming at a time when we are battling to even recover from COVID-19.
Yeah.
So the losses are getting deeper. The losses are getting huge, and perhaps sports may just have to count her losses in the years ahead in a very drastic fashion. Perhaps that's what we have to do. UEFA is very rich. FIFA is very rich. They can at least take the shock.
They can do without the money.
What they will do. Yeah.
They can do without the money for the sake of their integrity. But look, going forward, just quickly about this one, Mitchell. If background check will now have to be carried out before endorsements of brands or partnership with football will go out, what will be the guiding principle before any corporate sponsorship or partnership can now be entered in sports, to avoid situations like this where a team like Chelsea now, there's uncertainty about the club, the deals and everything is being terminated? What will now be the guiding principles for clubs when they want to go into any kind of commercial partnerships?
First, you have to look at the values sports bring, and you have to look at the values that sustain sports. And if you can keep to those values and find a partnership therein, I think you can become a veritable ally. And I think for companies who really want to identify with sports also, they have to look at integrity. Integrity is key. Integrity does not even end in maintaining transparency or keeping a certain level of cleanliness, in quotes. It also involves how you can respect the position of others and at least keep the peace. And when you talk about sports for peace, you are also looking at sports at development. And that's why even the United Nations, with the Sustainable Development Goals, said that sports is a veritable enabler. It is the catalyst for us to meet those goals. And for a partner that wants to go into sports, you have to consider all those elements. I think they are very key. If not, some time will come where betting itself will come under scrutiny. Betting will come under scrutiny. If it affects the youth populace in certain countries, they will tell you they don't want betting companies to identify with us. But that's a major supporter of sports. Just like you have alcohol.
Alcohol as well. All right, Mitchell, it's always an honor to have you share your insights on topical sporting issues across the world, but we have to leave it at this point in time. Thank you so much for your time, Mitchell Obi, a president of AIPS Africa. Thank you for joining us on TVC Sport Desk.
TVC Sport Desk.